Just like that, we are live. We are live, everybody. Welcome to Red TV in Conversation. My name is Peter Clarke, and I am pumped today. I'm pumped most days, but let me tell you something. Today, super special day for many, many reasons. And we'll get to those two very specific reasons in the very near future. Thanks for watching us. We are live right now. We are live streaming right now out on, let's find out where we are right now. We're out on, let's see, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, anything.com, anything the kids are out there doing right now. We're probably out doing that. So I super appreciate everyone being here right now. Again, super pumped always to meet brand new people. And I've been on Clubhouse lately. And I met this fine, good-looking young gentleman on Clubhouse, and doing a great job. He was basically moderating one of the clubs out there. I don't want to. If you're not familiar with Clubhouse, just Google Clubhouse and get out there and find out. It's basically an audio app, and he moderates rooms, a room specifically called Canadians Connecting on Clubhouse. And I met him there. He's a local Calgarian businessman and so on. He's a seasoned entrepreneur and president of 𝗟𝗶𝘃𝗲 Software Corporation. That's basically a professional file maker, pro design and development firm. Got all that in right there. He loves to connect with people and basically just help them succeed by networking and things like that. He's really, really good at networking and helping people kind of align and connect the dots. And he has a passion for the outdoors, specifically the mountains. Also has a philanthropic string to him, which is fantastic. I just like this guy, and he brought in a special guest on Clubhouse, which you'll see here right here, and we'll introduce him in a little bit. But in the meantime, and in between time, let's please welcome right now, Ferrell Beleshko. How are you?
I'm great. How you doing, Peter?
Good to see you, man.
Yeah, good to see you too. And I'm excited about this because this is a great opportunity to talk, share, and and have a lot of different open conversation about business, about life, about the mountains.
Yeah, of course. Well, this is what's interesting about putting faces and names together as well. Yeah. I know we've connected voice-wise, and so Clubhouse being a voice app, I hear you all the time and so on. But it's so interesting. We see these little tiny icons, little cartoon pictures of who they are, but we don't know who they are. So
yeah, it's been such a wild, powerful place. I mean, in 4 months, I've seen more happen in opportunity and business and connections and barriers taken down with connecting to, even people like Arlene Dickinson and Mike Fada and people in TV film space and all that. It's a powerful space for connectivity, period.
Yeah, networking connectivity. I agree with you 100%. So, before I start anything right now, I've got to ask you, of course, family-wise, you personally, health-wise, everything okay? Everyone all right?
I'm 5x5. I'm awesome. I did Mount Rundle. Well, actually, I took it as a casual day, but I've done Mount Rundle, the Peak 2 4 times now.
4? Wow.
Yeah, I love getting out there. If I can, I try to get out there at least once a week. I mean, we've got these beautiful Rockies to the west of us. Right. They're anywhere from 40 minutes to an hour. And it's a gem of the world. We can't take it for granted. And I'll tell you, that's my temple. I totally solve a lot of problems when I'm on a hike, and it's good for fitness.
Right. It's funny you say that because a lot of business people in general, we're out on LinkedIn right now. So obviously there's business people, and I don't want to stereotype business people and salespeople in general, but a lot of business is done outside on the golf course, for example. But, I'm sure that the mountains become this space of clarity for you where you can, share, those insights with people because you get a little bit more in tune with yourself, I'm guessing, right?
Well, yeah. Wild Canadian Rocky Mountain Hikers was born out of being out on a hike, and I've established a great relationship with two business partners, Mark Burden and Jafar Aziz, and we're going to create some interesting stuff in that space. And I've met people from around the world just being friendly on the trail. As a result, I've got friends global. I've got couches to sleep on. So
hey, we all need those. We all need those. I remember you mentioned you got to get out to Newfoundland. So I hope you keep that promise to yourself. I've grown up in that part of the world, and I'm telling you right now, I've always told people that if you have not been to the Maritimes and Newfoundland and Labrador specific, do yourself a favor, get out to Gros Morne in Newfoundland and hiking.
Yeah, actually, my son wants to go to Norway because he wants to go see the fjords and so forth. And I was talking with one of my other business partners, Jeff Parsons, and he's originally from the Rock. And he's like, you got to go to Gros Morne. Yeah, the fjords there are some of the best in the world. And so I started looking at all this stuff, and I'm just like, seriously, I need to stop thinking about leaving the country and start going into places like Newfoundland. And I'm, doing the tech stuff. I want to grab an Airbnb, spend a month there, do the work, go hiking, take and develop content, and develop it for Wild Canadian as a passion project. Awesome. And actually, one other which blew me away and blew my two business partners away on Sunday is because I brought it up to them that it's a project that we have to do inside the next 24 months. Is go up to the sand dunes of Athabasca. When you're in the middle of those sand dunes, and it's about half the size of Banff National Park, you think you're in the middle of the Sahara.
See, I've never had that experience. It's in our backyard. I know it's right.
Yeah, and the only way in is either on foot or helicopter.
Wow. Yeah, we got to jump to that. We got to jump to that. I just want to acknowledge a few people here very quickly before we get into this. I super appreciate this. Look at this. Hey, Trina, nice to see you. Looking forward to look, I love Harry. Oh, we got Harry fans already.
Yeah, see, we do.
I knew that was going to happen. If speaking of rock stars, look at this person down here. Jacqueline Way, good morning to you. You are Jacqueline Way, 365 Give, everybody. Please go out and check her out. Good evening from the UK, Peter. Oh, I'm wondering who that is. So please just put in the brackets of who you are. Super love to chat to you. And Michael Ray, if Michael Ray is here, here's another rock star from Kentucky. Farrell, I got to get you connected with this guy. Newfoundland is waiting for you, Farrell. Look at that. Hey.
Heather, hey.
Hey, how cool is that? And I'm just going to try to decipher that right now. Oh, do connect. There we go. Do connect with Peter Clarke. Okay, that's fine. Hey, listen, anyone watching, Sharon, we love you being here, and get some questions ready because we have someone coming up that I'm super pumped about. In the meantime, Farrell, let's talk about you very quickly. I don't mean very quickly. Let's get past Farrell so we can get to the rock star. No,
yeah, exactly. I mean, who wants to talk to me?
No disrespect. No, what I wanted to do real quick here is, I really don't know a lot about your business. So Cole's Notes version, a little bit about 𝗟𝗏 Software Corporation, and then I want to jump to our conversations on Clubhouse specifically. But tell us right now, there's 750 million people on LinkedIn. I'm guessing there's a couple that don't know me and don't know you. So 𝗟𝗏 Software Corporation, tell us a little bit about that 20-year legacy of that. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so that was actually born out of frustration. I originally wanted to go into advertising and public relations, and I was doing the dance between working for a company that doesn't exist anymore called Novacom Communications, which was tied quite heavily with Cantel, now known as Rogers. And I was also doing stuff with the next guest. I was acting as his marketing director, and also in the early days of trying to develop databases and so forth to make the business more efficient. And he just so happened to be using Macintosh, and I just said, basically, screw this. I need to come up with something that's going to make things work better. And so I went to the local Apple guys, Mac guys, and they said, use FileMaker. And so I looked at it. It's like, I can do this. I don't need to go to school for this. So, I just went in and I dived in. I started working it, and it's a beautiful, rapid application development. And from where it was 22 years ago to where it is today, my God, there's so much we can do. And to this day and age, where we are now with the needs in business, and have to rapidly put out an app and put up stuff on the web and create a workflow, a digital workflow to make the work life for an individual within your company, let alone the operational processes within your business. There's very few projects that I get presented as an opportunity to work on where FileMaker hasn't been able to do the job. It can either be something that works in conjunction with Oracle and all these other major platforms, but it's rapid and it's scalable. So the whole purpose of 𝗟𝗏 Software, and because of working with FileMaker, is to really solve problems. I love it when potential clients and clients come to me and say, we need to solve this, we need to do this, we need to improve our bottom line, we need to make it easier for people in the field to record data and send it in, but they don't have access to the internet. And so like, okay, we'll work the problem. And so it's really about digital workflow management, making the digital life better and not to be slaves to the tech, because this is a tool that we're supposed to get to make working for us, not us work for it. So yeah, it's all about creating really fluid, intelligent, intuitive software to make businesses run better, and organizations. I love doing stuff for nonprofits too. It's great. It's great to help them.
Oh, that's great. Hey, I appreciate you even mentioning that. Like you said, yeah, nonprofit business and organizations in general. This is why I've put up the LinkedIn, your LinkedIn profile. Make sure people know how to reach out to you, learn more about it. They can go up to your website, 𝗟software.com. Make sure they check out a little bit more in detail. Of course, they can always reach out to you. And I know where you are on Mondays and Wednesdays at 9:30 p.m. Anyway, he's on Clubhouse, so you can check him out over there as well. But let's talk about that journey very, very quickly, if you will, because we could do a whole show just on the question I'm going to ask you right now. But we met on Clubhouse, and we basically, so many people have been through that room. It's just incredible. I think the stats are something like 50,000 Canadians have moved
between all the rooms, including the one that Eric does on Monday and Wednesday nights. We've got a rough number of about 63,000 people have gone through as viewing, with an average of 5 to 10 minutes for a quick view, 52 minutes of listening. The average in those two rooms is roughly 150 to 200 people per hour, consistently staying there. And the room will go from 9:30 p.m. Eastern till 1 in the morning. Sometimes it's gone till 2, 3, 4 in the morning. And it's all like the whole thing that Eric, I'm sure he talked about this. I didn't get to watch the episode from yesterday that you did with him, but the whole point of it was that, we've got this beautiful platform called Clubhouse, where suddenly you got all these people stuck at home and not being able to do much. And, all other social media, it's posting, it's pre-programmed, it's the best version that you want out there, or whatever you want to plan. We're in the audio space. It's like this, it's live. There's nothing pre-programmed. So it's as genuine and as real as it gets. If somebody's full of crap, you're going to be able to tell. And, it's a beautiful space. So as a result of going into that app, Synergy as it was, or as it is, I didn't see very many Canadians or Canadian flags. Neither did Eric. Neither did a few other people. So Eric called up his buddies one night and said, I want to host a room for Canada, just for giggles. And I saw it, went in, and what a fun time it was. We're in classic Canadian form. We're socializing, we're connecting, we're seeing how we can, collaborate and do things. He's a stand-up comedian. He's an actor. He's also a professional speaker and so forth. And, we had all these different talents and so forth. And by the end of the night, we're actually coming up with business ideas. We're coming up with ways to get together and do things in the mountains here, or go out and hang out in Ontario. And we became buddies, and it just grew from there. And so that entire Canadians connecting has become the building of the nation of Canada and Clubhouse, because we weren't seeing Canadians. So the whole thing was put up the Canadian flag, share what you do, connect with people, find out if there's opportunity for creating jobs, or if you're looking for a job, if they're wanting to collaborate, looking for funding. I mean, there is so much going on now. It's powerful, truly, truly powerful. In the last 4 months, I've made more connections both within Canada and globally than I've probably done in 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, I totally believe that. Totally believe it.
And business deals. I've now taken equity in a couple of different ventures. I've been offered the CTO position with Omen Media because of a platform that they want to build. And I had the conversations with CJ Allen about that. And after 3 days of going back and forth of what the idea was, it went from a basic idea to an entire game-changing platform for the music industry in North America, maybe the planet.
Oh, we got stuff to talk about.
It's at the end of the day, it's about giving the power back to the artist.
We have to chat, man. We have to chat. I love that. No, I love that. But I love that story. I mean, the story is, and for me, I'll just reiterate what my experience has been, is I'm just running into people that I just wouldn't run into. I would never run into them through my regular traditional, even reaching out through LinkedIn, reaching out through whether it's another social media app like Instagram or whatever the case may be. This one, Clubhouse, just seems to have that magical, like you said, that connection where it's raw and broken down right in front of you very, very quickly. Very, very quickly.
Yeah. In like the conversations this morning in the Canadian Business Connecting on Clubhouse, there was just all these different things. We had a 17-year-old gentleman from originally, I think, from Iran. He's now in Vancouver, and he's just trying to get advice about how to get himself prepared to get into tech. What he was literally asking, what career should I go into? And we changed the narrative for him because we had all these different business people from different levels and people from different sectors, and we basically told this gentleman, follow your passion. And he loves math, and if you love math, you got to be creative. Yes. And we opened his mind just because of being in that space. And that's the beautiful power of what I've noticed about Clubhouse, is that it is a powerful, beautiful space to connect and make friends, to change your narrative, change your mindset, open your mind about opportunity. I mean, Peter, you and I would have never met. I mean, take that one night. It was, I don't know, it was like 11 o'clock at night, and a bunch of us were up sort of working and chilling and all that. And I popped into a room, you popped in. And next thing we knew, we were kind of hanging out. You were playing the guitar. It was awesome.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. I was playing guitar. It must have been on a weekend or something, because I normally just do that on the weekends and stuff.
Yeah.
I just popped in. I think we were just sipping a beverage and just chatting and talking and playing some music, and it was cool.
Yeah, and speaking of music, I've witnessed in some of the rooms where people would pop up and sing a song, and people like CJ Allen are in the room, other people in the music industry, and lo and behold, they were offered a recording contract.
Wow. See, that's what I'm saying. It's just so real and in real time. And again, people you wouldn't normally connect with. So listen, we could do a whole show on this, which we actually just might have to do that. Have to do a whole show on this. Before we bring out our very super special guest, I gotta jump into a couple questions for you to kind of set it up so that we understand, to me personally, the magnitude of what we're trying to accomplish here today, or what I'm certainly trying to accomplish. And it sounds like there's a real intention here. And there is, because it's something that I love, this idea about legacy and giving back, and especially tapping into the resources of people that have been there, done that. And I think we as a society have never done a great job with that. So before we jump into that, let me ask you about your dad. That's who's going to be our special guest today, Harry, and just a fabulous gentleman. I've only met him briefly so far, but I'm so looking forward to learning more about him. Let's just talk about your relationship quickly with your dad, and if you can share with me, the influence that your dad has had on you, in your. I know that's a very broad question, but I'm just.
I can answer this. I can just deeply answer this. Being a parent, and for all the people who out there are parents and people who are not, no parent is perfect. None of us are perfect. And, my dad, wow, how could I ask for any other kind of father? I mean, he was just a powerful influence in entrepreneurialism, in going and doing what's got to get done. For all his challenges, as we all have in our lives, he showed me opportunity through adversity. He showed me resourcefulness. He showed me that no matter what you put your mind to, you can make it happen. Really, it's everything in life is about choice. The the choice, the commitment to that choice, the action to the commitment and choice, and the consistency, and all of that through all the experiences I saw with growing up with him, popping over to Hong Kong and going into China. I had friends who thought, because of their parents and my dad doing this, going over to China and all these different places, someone thought he was like working for CSIS or the CIA or whatever, because, who the hell does that back in the 70s and 80s? But
nobody.
He was way outside the box before we had the internet. And, if he would have had Alibaba back then, I swear this guy would be a billionaire. Right. He would go through magazines and look for opportunities and businesses that were producing products and that. And he'd look for opportunity to bring it in. He brought backgammon into Canada. And and he would fly to Hong Kong, he would fly to China, he'd go to Japan, he'd go to Europe because he wanted to meet the business owners. He wanted to see the products. He wanted to have that touch. And often there would be samples in that sent too, but it was deeply important for him to have that connection, to have that opportunity to shake the hand. And it's fun to travel too. But yeah, he showed me, and he showed friends of mine.
Did that influence you to be? Is that why you're an entrepreneur? Do you think you picked it up from him, or is that something that he instilled in you? I'm always thinking.
When I was a kid, I can remember as one of the businesses my dad had was called Windsor Distributors, and that was tied to distributing products for hair salons and hair replacement companies, and bringing in different kinds of hair products and so forth. And along with all the other products he'd brought in, the stuff they did with the bay and all that with the backgammon. I can remember as young as being 8 years old, going in on a Saturday and Sunday, hanging out with my dad while he's doing the work. My mom would be there, my brother. But it's like my dad would say, okay, if you want something to do, start filling these shampoo bottles or clean up the warehouse. He wasn't having slave labor. He was having me engaged in what he did. He was having me involved, and he was at such a young age. He was teaching me what it takes to do things in life and to be creative. And, at 8 years old, 9, 10, I'll let you lose your concentration. But it was fun. And I still, to this day, take things from those moments and those lessons and apply them into my daily life. I'm in software development and digital workflow automation. And I recognize the power of all the tech, but I recognize the weakness. Yeah. And I was briefly, while I was going up Mount Rundle on Sunday, I actually was listening to Clubhouse because I still had a connection. And I was in a room where they were, offering advice to people on stage and asking questions about how to improve their businesses and so forth. And one of the conversations was about interviews and what's the best question you would ask. And a lot of the business owners were talking about, well, use this tech or that and so forth. And a couple of us were like, well, yeah, but at the end of the day, I don't care what the question is. People can lie in their CVs and their resumes. It's about the handshake. It's about the actual interaction. It's about actually stepping forward and in essence, some aspect of really being physical and doing what it takes. And I reflected quite a bit in the last couple of days because I know we're coming up to this. And I think back to where I get my tenacity and my work ethic. It comes from those early days. It comes from my dad. It comes from my mom. And that's a whole other story, and too bad she's not alive. I mean, you could have a whole interview with her and it'd blow you away. But it's he taught me what it takes in terms of tenacity and mindset. And he had one of the biggest collections of self-help and business books in the world. So much so that northwest corner of the house sunk 7 inches. It pissed my mom off, but it was a powerful library. I never needed to go to the Edmonton Public Library to get a book when it came to business or self-help or mindset. And when I was really pushing in hockey, every time I sneak into that room, I grab a book and read stuff. He had stuff on sports and that too, and he was a big athlete in his day. So
we got lots to talk about here. We got lots to talk about.
He could just kick me off the show and just talk to him.
No. Listen, I just like I said, I can't wait to kind of just bring him in. I just wanted to get that feel from you. I really appreciate you sharing that. I understand. Similar to you, my mom is not here anymore, and my dad is very similar age, I think, to in youth to Harry, and so I really get that connection you're referring to, and. As we get older, we just appreciate it more. I'm pretty sure that.
And this whole idea of legacy, which sort of triggered the whole conversation that we're at now with respect to business and that, when we were in that Ask a Dragons room, that was such a wonderful experience being involved with hosting that and having Arlene and all those other people on stage. It blew me away when he came on stage and the Dragons were asking him questions.
Yeah, I saw that too. I was like, wow, they were just like they were like, oh my God, we got to talk to Harry. Like everyone asked Harry a question. I was like, it just swung so quickly, the pendulum. And you know what it is? It's just, I really truly sensed this. They had a really genuine respect for his ability. I mean, Harry, let's get him on because, bottom line, he is a great communicator. And he has wisdom beyond 4 of us, 10 of us put together. And I think they picked up on that instantly. So the Dragons were
it's the wisdom and experience. And quite frankly, he's my board of advisors. I mean, there are other people that I go to for advice at times, but I swear, anytime I've got a business issue or whatnot, he may not understand the tech part of it, but it's like he's got a holy Bible of business in his head.
Listen, we got to bring on the guy, the legend, the man, everything we're talking about right now. 𝗟𝗏 Beleshko, how are you, my friend?
Well, I'm very elated, and I've learned more about my son in the last 10 minutes than I have in 50 years.
This is what happens when he talks.
Positive.
Yeah, it was all good, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh, You're looking good. You're looking good, my friend. You're looking good.
Thank you.
He's 82. He's 82 as of tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much.
Listen, you're looking fantastic. And quick question right away for you. Feeling okay? Everything good so far? I mean, it's been a tough year for everybody.
Good.
Good stuff. Good. You're able to get out a little bit, maybe a walk every now and then, all that kind of stuff?
I do it just about every day.
You know what? I was doing more and more hiking and mountaineering, evolving into being a mountaineer, because that's a whole discipline. And my dad texted me, and then he called me up. He goes, I want to get into hiking. You've inspired me. What can we do for seniors and so forth? And he started walking 3, 4, 5, 6 kilometers a day, just out of the blue.
That's fantastic, Harry. That's fantastic.
Well, it just, I've always been very active, in my early life, and getting out with the pandemic and not being able to socialize, I just got out. And of course, we all know that when you get active, you become a little more positive. Right. And it really helps to relieve a lot of the anxiety or frustrations you might have.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
And here in Calgary, we've got a fantastic environment and different terrain, so it's really good.
Fantastic. Well, Harry, I'm going to jump into a whole bunch of questions for you, but we'll leave it. We're going to leave that guy over there on for a little while with you, if that's okay. Just, you never know. He might have some wisdom to throw in here just to keep you honest. Just for the first.
I might have a nugget, but it probably came from him.
Well, I'm sure he'll pipe up if he has to.
Absolutely. Harry, let me ask you this. I just talked to Ferrell. I talked about your son. Oh, before we move any further, gosh, my brain is just spinning because I'm so excited to talk to you. We have to get this name thing straightened out here. Okay. I always call him Ferrell. I know it's Ferrell because you said it and you named him. So you said it was Ferrell. Please tell us where that name comes from. Where does Ferrell come from?
Well, it comes from a very exciting opportunity. In 1967 or 68, I got involved with a company in Waco, Texas, for a guy by the name of Paul Meyer, called Success Motivation Institute. And so I went down there to one of the sessions, and then after I got married, my wife and I went there and met a guy by the name of Ferrell Hunter. And he just got me excited, stimulated, and I just thought, wow, what a wonderful, beautiful name. And it never occurred to me until after Ferrell was due to be born that I said, let's call him Ferrell. Now, I've never gone into to find out what the history of that name is, but today I'm very happy that that's his name.
Oh, that's
where it came from.
Yeah, and so and did you end up having like a relationship with that person? Was that a long-term friend? Just a one-time opportunity?
No. Well, we collaborated, and of course, in those days, it was not the way we can today. But there would be, yearly or quarterly meetings, and I was involved in marketing, management programs, and sales training via cassette. You'd sell established cassette programs.
Yeah, and
that gave me the tenacity to be able to make cold calls and not be afraid to go and talk to people. And that's how I got involved in being in communication with Ferrell and at Ferrell Hunter.
Yeah.
And, going onward with that.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, you don't strike me as the kind that was having a hard time to dig up a conversation with somebody. I'm gonna guess that wasn't hard for you at all.
My public speaking skills comes from that guy to my left, right, whatever. And the whole thing about cold calls, I was probably, what was I, 13 or 14 years old, where you said, here, take this list and start calling people. We need to see if we can get them in. So it's like, my first job was doing cold calls for this guy. So
I love it. I love it. Harry, I just asked Ferrell, a question about influence of you and, obviously his parents in general and so on. I'm just curious if you wouldn't mind sharing with us right now, maybe from your parents. Can you share with us some of the traits that you picked up from your parents that you carried forward into your business life?
Well, unfortunately, my father had come from the Ukraine, and that was at a time when they were being, controlled by other political groups. And he was kind of reticent about talking about it. And that's one of the regrets I have, is that my father never really shared so much with me about what that part of the world was. And as a result, I've been exploring that and learning a lot about the cultures in that other part of the world. And the only thing that I gained, but I really got a lot from my parents, is that I had a great deal of independence, but somehow I was very dependable, reliable, and I never got sidetracked and got involved in any kind of groups or got involved in anything that would cause me trouble. And as a result of that independence, I somehow became a young entrepreneur and got involved in making money when my father wasn't making a lot, and I wanted to have things. I wanted to have a bicycle, and I had to make the money to buy the bicycle, and I got involved in doing things. I was thinking about this the other day, and when I was like about 13 years old, I'd read in a magazine there was a company in Canada called Regal Business Cards or Cards, and you could get a kit and go door to door, knocking on people's doors trying to sell Christmas cards or greeting cards. And I got involved in that. I didn't do it long, but for whatever reason, I wasn't afraid to go and knock on doors, and that kind of gave me my impetus to be a cold caller and not be afraid to just venture out and say, hi, how are you?
I love it.
That got going. And then after that, I found out that I could get a job down at the baseball park called Renfrew Park. And I would go down there, and I got a job selling peanuts and hot dogs. And I wasn't making as much as I thought I would. And somehow, I don't know how I came up with it, but I had a little bit of a sales pitch. So I'd walk around saying, hey, a loaf of bread, a pound of meat, and all the mustard you can eat, hot dogs. So I increased my hot dog sales, and that was my forte into the business world.
You were writing jingles before it was jingles were cool. Yeah. You were writing jingles. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. I love it. And that why doesn't that surprise me? I have no idea. It doesn't surprise me one single bit. Let me jump to something that I often ask people on this particular show. We're talking about business. Anytime we're talking to people on LinkedIn, for example, people who run organizations and so on. It's a common phrase. It's a common word. It's a common subject matter that's coming up, specifically over the last 5 to 10 years in general. So I'd like to hear it from you. And I'm going to leave Ferrell, of course, here because he might have some insights on this as well. But I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this concept of leadership. What is leadership to you? What does that mean to you when you hear that word? And what does it mean to be a good leader?
Well, of course, integrity, but also emulation, where the person that is the leader is providing to you a picture of what you would like to become. And there's a degree of honesty and carefulness and caring. And leadership also has empathy. And I think that's very important, because people generally are not as exuberant or open as maybe Ferrell or I am, and they all need to have some kind of support that they're okay, they're welcome, and that you care for them and you'd like to help them. And that's one of the things that I look to, and I believe that is in leadership, that the leader is there to help in whatever way he can, or who he can, ask to give an assistant or a hand to help that person. And in that way, you really help to expand people's opportunities and open up the possibilities for them to become what they really maybe deep down inside would like to become.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's just a great perspective. Ferrell, I'm sure that you picked up a lot of stuff from leadership from your dad. So does most of that resonate with you? And has it changed in this in today's
there's so much that has changed but hasn't. There's this false pretense that technology and the fast-paced nature of our society and getting globally connected, things are different. In some ways they are, but in a lot of ways they're not. Leadership, yes. Leadership, I definitely have picked up a lot from my dad and from the people he connected me with as I was growing up. I mean, I had a lot of brilliant opportunities thanks to my father. I mean, hockey was a huge thing, and I was fortunate that I got to spend time with the likes of Andy Moog and Grant Fuhr and Wayne Gretzky and Keith Gretzky and just a whole bunch of them. I've got stories. I got to play hockey.
I got stories.
I got to play. I never made it to the show. I had an opportunity to go to Minnesota Duluth, but knee injury ended that, so it wasn't in the cards in my universe. But I got beautiful experiences of spending my summers starting at the age of 12 up to the age of 19 in the Okanagan and playing in a closed, secret summer league because, these guys, they want to train in that, but they want to have fun too. Anyway, the whole thing with leadership, for me, in my perspective, it's a matter of listening and having vision and stepping up to the plate and stepping forward. And there's different aspects of leadership. I mean, there's military leadership, there's business, there's social, but in the fundamental essence, it's about not having fear to address what needs to be addressed, to work the problem, come up with solutions. And absolutely, again, I have to say it, to listen to the people. If we're going to keep in the context of business or some sort of organizational thing, don't be the arrogant ass to think that you know everything and that your vision and your way is the only way. The moment you do that, you're going to see your best people go. You need to listen to the people around you. You need to give them a buy-in to your vision, and you need to give them the leverage. You need to put trust in them. Amy, who's watching this right now, I made it very clear to her that if at all possible, with everything I've got going on in business right now, and the opportunities are just hovering around me because of Clubhouse, that if at all possible, we can work and structure things that by the end of the year, she can take over Terra Software and I will still give my knowledge and share my connections. I can then focus on other things. That's leadership to me because I'm giving her an opportunity and vision. I'm giving her empowerment. And I think as a leader, you have to do that. And if somebody's not going to come up to the plate and make it happen, you're going to see it quickly. You just adapt. It's a fluid thing. From the military perspective, when you're in a dynamic environment and you're dealing in a combat situation, that leadership isn't basing it on a physical plan that they had back at base or prior to the operation. They are adapting to what's going on in a fluid situation. Half the time, those plans are gone. It's a matter of being resourceful and thinking on your feet. So you need to be that as a leader as well. You need to be resourceful. You need to be clever, and you need to ultimately, again, you need to listen to the people around you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, appreciate that. I appreciate that insight as well. Harry, I have a whole bunch of questions for you specifically. And I already told Ferrell just for fun that I would bring you up specifically just to kind of walk you through some things to do with leadership, because I really am fascinated by this whole subject matter. But again, the whole premise of some of the things we're doing today is really talking about this idea of legacy and a legacy project series that we're actually, this is the first one, Harry. So we're part of doing the first one right now as we speak, where we're going to be, trying to, again, pull these great resources of information and wisdom from people such as yourself. So Ferrell, I'm going to throw you back in the green room. Stay with me, my fine friend, because I want you to stay here, of course.
Perfect.
Bring it back in and stuff. But I definitely want to bring Harry front and center. Listen, Harry, listen how quiet it is all of a sudden. Look at that. Is that unbelievable? It's gotten quiet all of a sudden, Harry. That's what's happened right now. Just with me and you. No, I'm just having some fun with Ferrell, but he's going to come back and join us here real soon. So again, Harry, what I really want to talk about with you, because I think you have so much wisdom about leadership. Have you been there, done that? And I think it's really important for us to, have this conversation. Again, we're kicking off this idea of the Legacy Project series, putting you front and center right now. So I appreciate you, joining us to have this conversation. What I wanted to do, I asked you what your thoughts were on leadership. I found a graphic, and I've done a lot of research on this concept in general, but I thought this one kind of summarized a few things for me, talking about the qualities of a leader. And what I wanted to do was bring up those qualities of a leader, and kind of walk through with you what they are, and then have you comment on them of what people are suggesting are the qualities of leaders. So if you wouldn't mind playing along with me on that, I would super appreciate that. I'm going to bring up this graphic right here. And these are the top 10 qualities that make a leader. Now, there's no there's no right or wrong here. I think what I really want to do is make sure that again, this is just a list. I'll go through them with you, my friend. So I'll bring it up and talk and ask you what your opinion of each of these are as a leader in business. Is that fair enough?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Let's start with the first one, the idea of inspiring, the ability to inspire people. How do you think that plays out for a good leader? And how have you done that, do you think, in your past?
Well, I think foremost, when I became a parent, I felt that the important thing was to set a good example as to being reliable, dependable, and encouraging, and letting my children know that if they had any concerns or any worries, that they could approach me, and that I'd be more than willing to give them a hand. And I think that that's very important as being a leader, that you're open to anybody's so-called emptiness or lack of love, and letting them know that you'll give them an ear, and that you help them in any way you can. And I felt would be inspirational.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. Yeah. And I love the fact that you tied it back to your family and your children and so on. That makes a lot of sense to me, because, it's funny how people sometimes put on a mask to kind of how they are at home might be different than they are at work, and vice versa. But it sounds like you had a consistent philosophy with how you were at home and how you were with business. Would that be true?
Oh, yeah, very much so. I mean, it never was absolutely 100% perfect, but I would have to say 75 or 80% of the time, it was exactly what I had just described. And I wanted my sons to feel that there was a place for them, and that if they had any questions or concerns or worries, that they could ask, and they would get from me or my wife. And of course, my wife was a tremendous advocate to what I'm describing right now.
Fantastic. Appreciate that insight. How about delegation? The ability for a leader to delegate. What does that mean to you in your experience of being part of sales teams and executive teams? Delegation.
It means sharing, giving the person an opportunity to take and maybe emulate or rise higher than what you've done. And I just felt that that was very important, to let the individuals, like my children or employees, know that if they wanted to advance, that they could certainly sit down and have a one-on-one and talk about it, and see if in fact it was something that they should pursue.
Right. That makes a ton of sense to me. I'm going to bring up your beautiful face again here, because I just want to make sure everyone sees and hears everything you're saying here. Let's go on to the next one about communication. It sounds like you have communication down pat. Your ability to, you told me you're knocking doors at a very young age and traveling internationally doing business, but talk to me about how you feel about the importance of communication when it comes to being a great leader.
Well, without communication, you never can be a leader. You've got to certainly communicate, but I think one of the most important things is to be one that can ask the right kinds of questions and get people to be more evocative, to have them talk a little bit about what's on their mind, because people are really very shy generally, and they're too concerned about embarrassing themselves. But if you open up to them and give them the feeling that, no matter what they say will be acceptable, that will help to bring open that channel of communication. And that's very important. Even today in my senior years, I find that far more often I've got to begin the conversation than others, where I would like to have them begin it, but I feel that if I don't start talking, nothing's going to happen. Right. And that's where it's coming from.
Yeah, the art of the conversation, the art of the conversation. I think you might be right on the money there with that, Harry. Is that technology has, I don't know, I'm not sure if it's made us lazy. Where everyone has these devices now and everyone's texting and emailing and so on. Like you said, having the ability just to walk up to a stranger and say, "Hey, my name's Harry. How are you?" I would imagine that that was very, very normal, because you didn't grow up with this kind of technology, correct?
Right. Yeah, and I'm kind of afraid about having just a consolidated focused time put on the iPhones or the mobile devices, and you don't see people talking that much anymore.
Yeah,
the younger people, unless they're having a party. But, I think that it's very important to be aware of the fact that if you meet somebody and they're not very talkative, that you try to do what you can to get them to open up a little bit more and make them feel that you really care for them. And of course, when you are a person like I am, I really care. I really want to get to know that person, because in getting to know them, they're going to help me to get to know more about myself and maybe even open doors for me.
Yeah, great attitude. I love that. I love that. Now, it seems to me you have a good sense of humor. We haven't really played enough to figure that out yet. But what do you think? Sense of humor. How does having a sense of humor play out for being a good leader?
Oh, sense of humor is great, and I really like watching a lot of the old comedians, and I'm not going to say some of the names right now, but yeah, a sense of humor is very, very important, and it helps to break down barriers with people that are not too open in talking. But once people start laughing, that kind of creates an open, mirrored friendship.
Yeah, and I find about having a sense of humor is never taking yourself so seriously, even in business, right? I mean, I don't know if that was always your philosophy. Did you feel that you always were super serious when you were doing business, or did you try to mix and match conversation and humor and so on?
I think I'm serious almost all the time. I really do a lot of reflection, and I have to say I'm probably more serious than I am humorous.
Okay, no, fair enough. Fair enough. Well, you said you watch comedy shows. That offsets it. I understand that. It doesn't. I some of the, again, my dad is like that. My dad is very again, matter of fact when I speak with him, but he enjoys a good belly laugh every now and then. So I understand that. How about confidence? How do you gain confidence as a leader? How do you gain confidence being a leader today?
Well, I can't really elaborate on today, but I can elaborate on my own situation.
Please,
I found
please.
that by just deciding to go ahead and do it and not be too concerned about making a mistake is where the confidence comes, because it's when you hesitate, when you refuse, or you're afraid to do something, that you're going to hinder your confidence. And by going ahead and having an open attitude about, well, I'm going to give this a try, and if I fail, who knows, maybe I'll learn how to do it a little bit better. And that to me was the important method in which I gained my confidence, and that I just went ahead and gave it a try. I wasn't open to everything all the time, but generally I found that whenever I pursued something that I had a little bit fear of, it worked out better than I anticipated.
Yeah, good for you. That is how you gain confidence, is kind of seeing fear, kind of walk through it, and you gain confidence on the other side. How about commitment? What does that word mean to you? And maybe how that played out in some of your business life as well. Commitment.
Oh, that's sacrosanct. That's very, very important. I think that if you want to know somebody, you're going to pay attention to what they pay attention. And if they're not going to, if they say they're going to do it and they don't do it, that raises a flag, because that's a lack of commitment. If you say you're going to do something and then you feel you can't do it, best thing to do is say, you know what, I don't think I can do it, but I really thank you for giving me the opportunity. Doesn't mean they're a failure. It just means that they're being honest, open, and that they're open to taking on a future commitment.
Oh, gosh, I like that. I like that a lot. Yes, it's true. I mean, the idea of just being honest with yourself and watch what people do. I love this old phrase. I don't know if you might have heard of this phrase before, but watch what people do and they'll show you who they are. And like you said, when someone doesn't follow through on something, it probably means the commitment is not there. So no, I appreciate what you said there. I think you already have this, that's for sure. But how about good attitude? What does it mean in your space? Maybe when you were doing business, when you recognize people having a good attitude towards business, towards leadership, what does that mean to you?
Well, you're talking about the people that I'm doing business with that have a good attitude. They're not going to get rid of me. But if you're talking about me having a good attitude, that's the essence of who I am. I refuse to let myself get down, because that's the easiest thing to do. And if you can talk to yourself, you can learn how to become much wiser by just being accepting of the fact that there's no point in harboring anything against anybody. You just have to refuse to be antagonistic and to speak ill of others.
Right. Yeah. Good attitude. I listen, I sense what you mean by that. I really, really do. I like the idea you said, they won't get rid of me. They have a good attitude. They won't get rid of me. I love that. I love that. How about creativity? Creativity. Do you have to be creative to be a good leader, I wonder?
I don't know if I can answer that properly, but I think that you have to be inquisitive. And if inquisitivity is creativity, then I would then say yes. And also being curious. And that was one of the things that kind of inspired me and set me forward, is that if I didn't know something, I had the inquisitivity, and I tried to figure out, well, if they won't give me the answer, where will I get it? How can I get it? And that's one of the characteristics that I think helped me to become what I became, by being inquisitive, being curious, and maybe a little bit nosy.
I like that. Curious is nosy is the old school word for curious today.
Yeah.
I'm going to say I must be pretty nosy because I'm insatiably curious myself. So I know what you mean by that. I just love learning. I love learning about people. So I would sense that that was probably on top of mind for you as well, as you were traveling internationally in a time when people didn't do international travel. You had to be curious. You had to be creative in that approach. How about the word intuition? I kind of like that word. Well, I do like that word, but what does that mean to you when you hear intuition when it comes to leadership?
I'd have to equate that to serendipity, and intuition is the result of just having the feeling that you want to be helpful to people and getting along, and being able to sense what they're telling you, and if it's what they're saying is what they really mean, and if it's what you're willing to what you're looking for. And intuitively, you can pick up an awful lot by just having that openness towards people and caring and wanting to communicate with them. And intuitively, you will pick up things. And I find a lot of times that I'm curious, and in that curiosity, something intuitive comes into my mind and says, hey, why don't you go on this tangent and go look at this, a totally entirely different area of what you've been focusing on. And all of a sudden you find out that, hey, there's a whole horizon here for what you've been looking to accomplish.
Oh, that is fantastic advice. That is a fantastic advice. And I know what you mean by intuitive. there's an intuitiveness when you're with people. You can normally pick up on energy. I know for me, I feel very intuitive, so sort of empathetic, if you will, when I'm with people specifically, and I can pick up their energy and so on. So I know what you mean. You can pull from other people's intuition. Your intuitive. Your intuition kicks in when you're in certain situations. So I appreciate that. I don't know why this is the number 10. This is the last one, by the way. It's almost ironic that I would have to mention it, or strange that I would mention it, but honesty, honesty as a leader these days. And I think over the last 5 to 10 years, I think we've probably seen even at the global scale, where honesty has played a specific role with leaders around the world. What do you think of that idea of always being honest when it comes to leadership?
Well, I think what you have to do is ask yourself, how do you live with yourself? And by learning to live with yourself, if you're honest, no matter what other people say, think, or do, you will then still be able to go on and go forward. And if people dislike you or cast you off, you will still have the personal strength to go forward because you believe in yourself and you believe that whatever you've done and said has been the honest truth. And at the same token, you look to people to be honest with you. And if they're not honest with you, then you know that it's time to move on. No point hanging on because it's not going to change. And honesty is really, really critical.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. Let me just add to that, if you will. You said you move on. It doesn't change if someone is not so honest. When I say not so honest, is there room for forgiveness inside of that for business? Let's just say you're working with somebody and there has been something with dishonesty involved.
Yeah.
Where does forgiveness play in that for you?
With honesty, with the person coming back to you and saying, you know what? I'm sorry I didn't tell you the truth. I'm sorry that I didn't keep my promise, but I really meant to do what I was going to do. And they're looking for the forgiveness because they need that. And at the same token, it helps you to become a more giving person as well. And I just feel that if people will open up and just admit that they've made a mistake or that they've misdirected something, that there's room for forgiveness.
Oh, yeah, forgiveness. I appreciate you adding that piece as well. I agree, and and again, every situation is different. The idea of forgiveness and moving forward, and forgiveness is mostly about for yourself anyway. It's the idea of
in a lot of cases, people are involved in environments where forgiveness is not allowed. And they sometimes, if they see that there's an opportunity to get it, that you will help them to become a stronger person and maybe become the person they want to become. Forgiveness is very, very significant.
Oh, thank you for adding that. I couldn't agree with you more about forgiveness. It's almost hey, I'm going to have to get you back for another show, Harry. We're going to have to talk about just forgiveness alone.
Yeah.
And just forgiveness alone. Hey, I got a couple more questions for you before I bring in that fine young gentleman that you had on the screen earlier with us. Okay. I'm going to see if there's any questions. I'm just going to skim real quick. I so appreciate all the comments, everybody. Hey, let's just throw up a couple comments here. Sending love to the Beleshkos. Look at that. From the lower mainland. From the lower mainland for you, Harry, right there. And yeah. Jacqueline Way is also from the Vancouver area. She is here watching you. I know she's a big fan of you. Tony McClellan is a person I met. Back to Ferrell is another person that I met on Clubhouse, and that's how we connected. Jacqueline's talking about parenting. I got that from my parents, so get it. I'm just throwing up some comments here for you, Harry. Let's throw this up. Look at this. Harry is a huge-hearted man who influenced me in my youth as well. Working for him was a great experience for me. Hi, Harry. How about that from Amy McRae?
Well, Amy was very, very bright. And one of the things that I liked about her is that when there was something that she wanted to tell me, or say she'd write a letter or something, and that has always been with me, and I've embraced that always. I thank her.
That's fantastic. And we got some birthday wishes for you right here as well. From Jacqueline, there's a happy birthday. Tony Grant sending you a happy birthday as well, Harry. And here's a fully agree with empathy, a great trait for leadership. So I think we talked about empathy, forgiveness, compassion, these kinds of things. And so I just wanted to make sure that you knew, as I said to you, you are branding yourself as a new rock star. You are going to be the new business rock star. And I'm just going to sit and watch you go to the moon and back. I'm so excited for you. Let me ask you a couple of questions before we bring your fine young son back here. And I'm super excited to hear some of these answers from you. Okay. You've lived a great life, to say the very least. That is for sure. I'm wondering if you can think back either just through your business, through your life in general. What are you most proud of your journey, Harry? What are you most proud of about yourself and the journey that you've taken?
Well, I think the fact that I overcame fear, and I'm not fearless, but I overcame being afraid of just going ahead and trying to do something. And you know, of all the I'm trying to think of a phrase that I learned. Of all the people that you meet and greet in a lifetime, to the answer to the questions in your life, you're the answer. To the problems in your life, you're the solution. And of all the people that you meet and greet in your life, you're the only person that you can never leave.
Wow. Oh, that is, yes. Yeah, I'm just taking it in. I'm just absorbing it. Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that. You know, it's been a difficult year. I know you know that. I'm sure, yeah. But you've seen, and I say this with all due respect and as well, my friend, I know you've seen an incredible amount over your 80 plus years. I mean, it's just, I can't even imagine every decade, the things that you've seen and experienced. But this year has been particularly difficult for a lot of people, and it's been taking a toll on mental health and wellness and things like that. I'm wondering for you, Harry, even over your entire lifetime through difficult times and so on, and even today, what keeps you hopeful and optimistic? What kinds of things keeps you hopeful and optimistic?
Well, I think maybe the key thing that I discovered by getting on to Clubhouse and seeing what I've seen the last few days is the communication and sharing and meeting of other people in all over different parts of the world, and with the Canadian aspect that I saw or heard some of today, is that people are being able to connect and reach with each other and opening up things that never could have happened before. I mean, going back in my life, there was never a time you could really communicate with so many different people. And a lot of the times the communication that I had was be with different people was if I went to a bar and had a drink or something, and that was not really very sound communication. But what we're exposed to today and with this Clubhouse is just tremendously opportunistic, and it's going to help thousands of people. It's helping me even right now.
That is great. And you know what? Just so you know, Harry, I'm not opposed to going into a pub with you and just sitting down and chatting, by the way, just so you know. We don't need Clubhouse. I still think that works for me.
Thank you.
Having a drink with you, sitting down, having a pint with you, no Clubhouse involved, I'm in. It sounds like I
can learn a lot from you, and I think I will.
I appreciate that. No, it's just super again inspiring to chat with you. You know, the whole idea of connecting with you through your son has been this idea of legacy, and we've used that a few times today, and this series itself of talking to people about legacy and so on. I'm wondering what that word means to you, Harry. What does legacy mean to you? And maybe what do you hope your legacy will be?
Oh boy, that could bring a tear. just being a good person and caring. And legacy is really with the people that you're with, your family and your close friends, and just being one who really cares and is helpful as much as you can be helpful, and being honest. That to me is what I hope my legacy will be.
That's Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. Beautiful. Well said. And I think it is. I think that's what your legacy will be, fine sir. I'm almost certain of it. I'm going to bring back, thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
That was super moving to me. I appreciate that so much. Let's bring back this fine young gentleman of yours. I think you've done a pretty good job with this guy. I don't know if you feel the same way, but I think you've done a good job, Harry.
We got another 100 years for me to figure out what that'll end up being, but yes.
Well, I've had a wonderful exposure because of this new group of clubhouse people, and seeing my son how effective he is and how insightful. I hope that he can take and harness all of this and just figuratively go to the moon.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind going to the moon. That'd be cool.
Ferrell, and by the way, I cannot re-emphasize this enough, Harry. What you've shared today is just beyond my expectations for me personally. Just even one or two of the nuggets that you've given, you've changed lives already of people that you've never met and you may never meet, by the way. And I think that's a very powerful part of your legacy right now. Is
very nice to meet them, because it just opens the door for me.
Yes, it does. So, and Ferrell, your dad talking about his legacy, how you feel about that?
I think it's powerful, and I think it shows his heart. That, you know, growing up, I just, again, with the thing with Amy and just people that worked with my dad, business partners, clients, and a lot of his clients, a lot of the people that he served, he was friends with. You know, you ever hear of Richard Conley?
Oh, remind me why I should. Sorry.
Captain Canuck.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. No, it's okay. You know, it's the Canadian comic industry never got the love that it needed. Right. And even today it struggles a little bit because it's drowned out by Marvel and DC and all that. But yeah, out of Calgary, Richard Conley, he was doing Captain Canuck and so forth. And I was fortunate enough, I think it was 8 or 9 or 10 years old, Dad, when he took me to his studio, and he was drafting up one of the next comics in the series, and he gave me one of his original first prints of #1, signed it and the whole bit. But just to cite all that, he was a client of my dad's that my dad was doing some business with, and my dad treated him like a friend. And it's I think that's my dad's legacy, and in part too is that in part is that he always did what he could do to help others, whether it was something in business or give them some money or whatever. Yeah, I think so.
That's beautiful. And Harry, just so you know, I know you're getting more experience with Clubhouse and so on. That's exactly what your boy does as well. That's what your son does. He looks for opportunities to connect some dots, connecting people, and always trying to find ways for people to succeed. So I think that's I don't think the apple fell too far from the tree for you, sir.
Yeah. That's good.
That is good. That is good news. Now, listen, we've been having fun, sort of serious, but we got to have some fun before you go, Harry. I'm not going to let you just kind of come in and leave without some fun. And we never get to know people because we don't get a chance to talk long enough. I know we've been talking for about an hour, so I super appreciate your time. But if you can stick around for a couple minutes here, and Ferrell, I want you to join in on this one, because this is the first time we'll do a father and son, this or that. It's a little thing I call this or that, Harry. And what I'm going to, this or that. And here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to name two things, and then you just pick one. and that will give me a little insight into Harry, and it will give me a little insight into your son. And let's just see if they match up. Let's just see if they match up of which you will pick with each other. These are just fun. So Harry, we'll start with this one. Seeing you mentioned the pub, and you'd still probably, I don't know if you still do that, but we're going to find out right now. And this is for you as well, Ferrell. So I'll let Harry answer first, and then you answer, and we'll have this recorded for all time. And this will be part of the legacy project right here. Harry, we'll start with this: whiskey or wine?
Wine.
I was going to go whiskey because,
That's good. That's a good start. That's the way to go. How about this, Harry? Superman or Batman?
I'll go with Batman.
Yeah, I'm going with Batman because he's got all the cool shit.
All the cool tools. All the cool tools. Absolutely. How about this one? Harry? A quiet Sunday reading or a family barbecue in the backyard?
Oh, I'd go for the barbecue.
Yeah, I'm all about the barbecue too.
Awesome. How about this, Harry? How about a convertible or a truck?
I'll go for the convertible.
Yeah, I'm right there. And I'm so sure you reflected back to the yellow Thunderbird, Dad.
Yeah.
That 67 bird, that thing was sweet.
Yeah. You had a yellow Thunderbird 1967?
Yeah, beautiful yellow Thunderbird.
Oh, was it? I mean, did you buy it new, like at that time period, or was that
brand new?
Oh, can you remember the price?
It was about $9,000.
Oh wow! Even then, that's a lot of money. Yeah, that's a lot of money. Yeah, you could almost buy a house in 1967 for $9,000.
Well, no, a little bit more.
Yeah, a little bit more. Absolutely. Okay, I'm going to take you guys. When we go out to dinner somewhere, how about Chinese food or Italian food?
I'd go for the Italian.
Can I do fusion?
Yeah. We'll have to do lunch and dinner. Farrell, we'll have to do lunch and dinner.
Years ago it was Chinese, but I developed a taste for good food after. And I'm not saying Chinese isn't, but having been in Italy a few times, I really enjoy Italian food.
Oh. One little interesting, indeed. But one little interesting story about my dad, he had business partners and colleagues out of South Korea. And one year he had them come over and they brought their wives and kids and so forth. And at that point, I fell in love with Korean food. I mean, the food being made at our house and so forth. You remember that, Dad?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
I can still visualize it, yes.
Yeah, I bet you the aromas, right? The aromas, the scents, the different spices and so on. Yeah, totally relate to that. How about for traveling, Harry? Europe or the Caribbean?
I would go to Europe.
Yeah, me too.
And why Europe, Harry?
Because there's so much to learn from all the different cultures. And I think you become to realize how we're all connected, even though we don't think we are. Fair
enough. And like I said, I mean, there's no right or wrong answer to that. I mean, I love the Caribbean as well. I've traveled through the Caribbean, great people there as well. So to your point, some great history in Europe, of course. How about this? Sunday afternoon, you and me, Harry, are we going to the library or the museum?
I like to read a lot, but I would like to go with you to the museum because I think that I could learn a lot more with you.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you. How about yourself, Ferrell?
A museum, but I think we'd end up at the Telescience Center because there's lots of fun things to play with there.
Lots of things to do. We'll have to take Harry out there. That's for sure. How about this? This is a loaded question. I already know what's coming from Ferrell, I think, but I'm going to ask you, Harry. How about a day at the ocean or a day in the mountains?
Oh boy, that's tough because I really would like to spend more time with Ferrell in the mountains. I think I would have to say at the mountains.
Mountains. Okay.
Well, Dad, I think I can make your dream come true, and we'll just fly to Vancouver, and we can do both on the same day.
Right.
Mountains and the ocean.
Right. I agree with that. That's a good call. As soon as we're able to kind of back and forth like that, that's a great call.
Yeah.
How about this, Harry? Sunrise or sunset?
Sunset.
I'm all about the sunrise because it's looking into the new day. And everybody looks west. I love looking east because that's where it all starts.
Wow,
I like
that's it.
sunset because I can then reflect about how good the day was.
Love that too. Beautiful perspectives right here. This is beautiful. I love this. This one I'm so excited to hear because I love this question. So Harry, hearing it from you now is just I'm just so excited. How about this? Hope or freedom?
I go with hope.
That's a tough one, actually, because they're kind of symbiotic, aren't they? I think I'm leaning on freedom.
Why is that?
But hope. Well, I was thinking you can't have. It's harder to have an abundance of hope with freedom. However, you can also get lazy with hope when you've got an abundance of freedom.
Oh.
You know, I look at what's going on in the Middle East right now. Yeah. Hope
How
is
about you,
powerful.
Harry?
Hope can inspire freedom.
Both. Absolutely. Yeah. How about you, Harry? You took some time to think there, and in your eight decades of wisdom, you chose freedom. Why is that?
I think freedom is always there, but you need to hope and work towards it. And to just have lazy freedom is not the answer. There's got to be contemplation and understanding so that when you do get the freedom from hope, it will be more meaningful.
Yeah. Fantastic insight. Again, no right or wrong. It's always interesting. It's a fascinating
good question.
Yeah. No, thank you. Appreciate that. How about finishing this lab? This is the last for you, Harry. I've kept you so long, so I so appreciate it. Finish this sentence for me. I love my life because.
Okay, I love my life because I found the meaning of love.
Way to drop the mic. Like, wow.
Wow. Never heard that before, Harry. I've never heard that before. Wow. Beautiful.
The end of the day, yeah, no kidding. Way to drop the mic. Well, I was thinking that I love my life because my destiny is what I create. In essence, for those who may not understand that, it's because of the choices I make, whether I realize I'm making them or not. The journey I'm on, that's my journey and that's my destiny. So it's because of the destiny, or that my destiny is what I create.
Wow. Love that too, my friend. Love that too. Wow.
Yeah, his is better though.
Well, hey, listen, we're talking about, the apple falling from the tree. Listen, the tree is right there in the middle. There's where all the roots are. Harry Beleshko and Ferrell Beleshko, but Harry Beleshko specifically. It's just been such a pleasure to meet you. It's just been such a pleasure to talk with you. I totally understand why Ferrell was so interested and passionate and excited to share you with the world. Clubhouse first, and here we are now broadcasting and so on. And I just hope things continue to move in a very positive and exciting new direction for you. And congratulations on, again, that insatiable curiosity for you to want to get involved with technology and being with your son. And I just think that's a beautiful thing. And Ferrell, I envy that relationship you have. I mean, it's so obvious that this idea of legacy is well versed in your family. So I appreciate that. Harry, great to meet you. Ferrell, thank you so much for introducing your dad to the world.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dad.
No, I just want to say that the exciting part of what's happened because of this is just the fact that I've got to express a few things and to meet Peter and have other people that might want to talk with me and me share with them. It just opens up the world to me, and that's really exciting. Very
I'm so happy for you, my friend.
Thank you.
You know, I'm again, the whole Clubhouse thing has been so powerful, and it's going to remain powerful. This whole audio space. I mean, this I'm going to use a phrase of what I was suggested I should write a book on. This singularity of humanity that's going on. There's all this fear of singularity of artificial intelligence becoming self-aware and turning into the Terminator. Yeah, who knows? That may happen, but we're not close to that kind of singularity. It's away. But the singularity of humanity, of human intelligence, this renaissance that we're in, and all this convergence of knowledge and communication, and these moments where we're in Clubhouse, and somebody throws down an idea on the table, and suddenly it becomes a brilliant idea, movement, business concept, change. Like there's a conversation I'm involved with that it's involving people who are deep in finance and venture capital, and they're wanting to bring real change and opportunity to the indigenous spaces within business and tech and things like that. And and the indigenous stakeholders in it's powerful because government can't solve these problems because it takes the movement, and it's all these different types of things. So the experience of Clubhouse has been powerful, and I'm very grateful for being involved with Canadians Connecting. I'm grateful for the friends that I've made, grateful for Eric. I'm grateful for meeting you, Peter. But that moment where Arlene Dickinson popped into the room about 3 weeks ago, and she hung out, chit-chat, a little bit, just had fun, and it wasn't people pitching. It was real, genuine conversations about business and life and so forth. And then the idea came on the table to have Ask the Dragons. And we did that last Tuesday. And I told my dad it was going to happen. And he was like, well, I want to get in the Clubhouse and listen to this. Well, I wasn't expecting to get him on stage. I wasn't expecting to see what happened after. And having him, like Eric and Paris Mansouri and Arlene and a couple others, like, yeah, we got to get Harry on the stage. Like, look at his background going into Hong Kong. I mean, my brother has this story of my dad getting off a plane in Edmonton wearing a yellow suit, and it still scars him today. But it's just great.
I got to know some good Chinese tailors. That's why.
Yeah. Well,
I was going to say he scarred him with a yellow suit, but hey, a yellow suit in 2021, Harry, I think you could pull it off.
Fashion cyclical. It's going to come back. Just pull that thing out of the closet.
But I got a yellow suit so that if the plane crashed or had to land, they wouldn't have a hard time finding me.
So when Harry came on the stage, and I gave that open introduction about him and his life and business and so forth and the things that he did, and I think that obviously set the tone. But the fact that Arlene Dickinson and Mike Fata and I can't think of all the other people on the stage. There were quite a few people that are involved with the Dragon's Den and Dragon's Den on Clubhouse, and that entire sphere and beautiful community of business people. I mean, these people, multimillionaires and billionaires, and they're just people, and they've got great intelligence about business and that. But the fact that, and life for that matter, but asking my dad questions, looking to him, leaning on him in that.
I saw that. I heard that. I heard that. I thought that was a magical moment. So I'm sure
it was, and that was beautiful and powerful. And I don't know if you were at the end, Peter, when they started going through the room and sort of asking, not me or Eric or Renee and Paris, but the dragons that were on stage, and asking what advice they could give, especially from the room. And it went through a couple of people, and it came to Arlene, and Arlene just said, basically, wow, the only thing I have to say is, be Harry.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that was powerful.
Yeah. Harry, I'm telling you, my friend, I mean, that I think that sums up probably your last 3 or 4 weeks of being on Clubhouse, or in the last few weeks. And
few days, that was just hard to believe. It's maybe I've lived in the shadow too long. I don't know.
Yeah, well, we brought you out today. We put the light on you today, and we put the spotlight on you today. And I just can't thank you enough. It's been such an honor for me and a privilege to talk to you. And thank you for sharing all your wisdom and continued success with your son of getting out there and staying active on social media and Clubhouse. And Ferrell, thanks for all the work you do on Clubhouse and bringing Canadians together and connecting the dots. And again, thank you from everybody in the business community and the world in general for bringing your dad to life for us here and bringing him to the world.
I appreciate that, and I'm more than happy from when we had dad once. I'm more than happy to share him and give him the opportunity and the stage to share his knowledge in that, and the whole thing with Clubhouse and building the nation of Canada on there. It's amazing when we get people from the States and Europe and Australia and all that saying, "How do you guys do this? Why is the Canadian business space and these Canadian rooms so nice? And you guys are collaborating and doing all this stuff." And it's been beautiful, and I love the fact that when we give and you don't expect anything in return, how it comes in such droves. Yeah. I've not been on that space selling anything or marketing my business or my ventures. I've talked about them at times, but the thing that I've loved, and I'm sure I get this from my dad and definitely got it from my mom too, was the whole thing, what you're saying, Peter, about connecting, about seeing that, you know what, this person, that's a great idea. There's this opportunity, bring them together. And I've had business opportunities come my way, and some very, very, very powerful ones that if they work out, wonderful. But there was one thing that happened, and this is the last thing I'm going to say, because it's your show, Peter. There was one really interesting, powerful thing that happened in the last week or so. There's a gentleman out of Toronto, his name is Manny, involved in artificial intelligence. And he's been working with his team to create an artificial intelligence platform that predicts breast cancer. So way ahead of the curve. We're talking proactive medicine at its bloody finest. Yeah. And it's a brilliant tech that he's been working on and creating the artificial intelligence space for this. But there was a broken bridge. It's getting it into the medical community. It's getting the funding behind it. It's getting the awareness. And I just so happened to have the opportunity to put him and 3 other people together. And they started doing Zooms. And as a result of that, suddenly, exponentially, that tech is going to start making its space into Canadian medicine and possibly medicine in the US. And it could very well change the game when it comes to breast cancer for women. And of course, there is the breast plate cancer for men as well, but it's not as common. So just moments even like that.
Wow. See, that's amazing. Again, the ability to use technology as a force for good. And that's one thing that I know that I'm passionate about as well. So I appreciate you sharing that story with us. Harry, my fine friend, I'm looking forward to the pub with you.
What I want to say is, a just thought came to me that what Ferrell just said, I think that this platform is going to put the fake news a little bit back. We're not going to look to it as much as what we're going to look to from Clubhouse and the Canadian aspect. And I think Canadian people are very, very accommodating people. They're not so selfish.
Well, Dad, our country and our culture is built out of a misinterpretation of a word. And do you guys know that vignette, that story of what the name of Canada is in the root?
Canada Village.
Yeah. So and if I get this slightly wrong, I apologize. But Canada was born out of the word Kanata, which correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it comes from the Iroquois nation. And it was a bunch of British explorers, kind of sort of pseudo lost in the woods. They came across some Iroquois warriors, and it was a happy exchange. There wasn't any combat or anything like that. They basically started to communicate, and the Iroquois warriors, this is the basic story, brought them back to their village where all the teepees were, where their community was, and they were up on a ridge line, and they were looking out over the ridge line or over the valley that the ridge line was above, and they were saying Kanata, Kanata, Kanata. And a little more was being said as well. But these British explorers, for whatever reason, they thought the Iroquois warriors were saying, this is the name of the land. This is the name of the valley. So in essence, they just took that as the name of the land, and they couldn't even pronounce Kanata properly, called it Canada. This land is Canada. And the beautiful thing about that, regardless of, I shouldn't say regardless, in light of all of the pain that occurred with the Europeans coming to North America, and we're just in the beginning stages of real reconciliation, is that Canada means a village. And if you look at the multiculturalism of our country and our business communities and so forth, and we're not perfect, but we are a global village, and we are a real beacon on the hill for this planet to show that Kanata, the village, that's us, and that's ingrained in our culture.
Yeah.
So
again,
it's a personal, passionate way of thinking about the Canadian culture and how we connect, and we're willing to help and collaborate.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. And on that note, on that very note of a village, I say goodbye to my village. Great to see you two gentlemen. In honor of this conversation, Harry, I'm going to play a quick little video at the end here as we wind down the show. I was in Nova Scotia. My dad still lives there. I was down there doing some filming one day, and I said, Dad, why don't you jump in the video with me for some fun? And I caught this moment of him just one moment of fun. And I was doing these things in front of the camera. I was saying, hi, I'm Peter Clarke, and you're watching Red TV. And he'd hear me say those things. And he said, I want to do that. And I said, okay, Dad, please come and do it. And he jumped in, and I'll show you what he said. I thought it was really cool. It was just a fun moment for me down in Peggy's Cove, Nova Scotia. It's a tribute to you and your relationship with your son. And thank you for joining me. And everybody else, thank you for joining and watching us live. As I always say, at the end of every show we do here, be kind out there. How about that? Just be kind out there. We'll see you gentlemen later. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Peter.
Hi, I'm Peter Clarke in beautiful Peggy's Cove, Nova Scotia. You're watching Red TV.
I'm the real Peter Clarke. I'm here in Peggy's Cove, and I'm watching Red TV.
Let's go.
That was good.